Welcome to the Kate Daly Show. In our defense, they did leave us unsupervised. The show starts now.
Thanksgiving, it's like we didn't even try to come up with a tradition. The tradition is we overeat.
Hey, how about Thanksgiving we just eat a lot?
We do that every day.
Oh, what if we eat a lot with people that annoy the hell out of us?
Oh, he's anti-family.
My parents, once we did that, they downsized into a 2-bedroom townhome. So they still wanted to do Thanksgiving at their house, but they don't have the room for us. There's like 20 of us. It's like a college kid being like, do you want to do Christmas in my dorm room? There's a table for 4, and then they have to put a train of TV trays and nightstands that just weaves down this hallway. You're sitting on stairs. We made the kids go eat in the car. We just go back in the car. You can't even eat inside. My mom didn't have ketchup. I was like, everybody just has ketchup. It just comes in houses. Come to some alcoholic's house, he would have ketchup. His whole family would be gone. But I would say, do you have ketchup? He'd be like, I'm not that gone, man. My parents, once we did that, they downsized into a 2-bedroom town.
All right. Welcome to Kate Daly Show. So happy you're here. And got the great Dr. Duke Pesto with me. It's a Monday. How are you, Duke?
Doing very well. How are you today?
I'm so glad. And last week, I so apologize. Last week was crazy, and it was like a round of medical emergencies and sickness. It was just a bizarre week, so I really apologize. I had one show last week, did not mean to do that. That was not the plan. So I'm really thankful to all of you for hanging out with us today, and of course, I'll always be back. But I'll always announce what I'm doing on the Facebook page, the Kate Daly Show page. Facebook page. If I'm not going to be there, I will always tell you right there. And you can access that right on katedalyradio.com on the web. So I really appreciate you, Duke. We've got Thanksgiving week. And so I'm going to do today's show and tomorrow's show, and then we'll be out for the week. Probably like all of you too. Everybody else in America is pretty much taking those 5 days off, it seems like. And you know what? It used to be 4 days, but people are just inching. They're just inching to get that like that 5th day out of it, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. I think so. At the university, they have class. We have class off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I teach Tuesdays and Thursdays.
See?
How many of you think kids tomorrow are going to show up?
Nobody.
Already, half of them told me they're not coming, which means 75% means aren't coming.
Yeah.
So I would just cancel class for tomorrow. They should just give them the Tuesday.
They really
They're
should.
not coming.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, and if you're the teacher the teacher who forces them to come somehow, it's just not worth the resistance.
No, I'm with you on that. We have so much to talk about. And of course, you can text in, you can call in 435-680-2503, 680-2503, 435 area code in Utah. And of course, you can text or call and join this conversation. But of course, there's a couple of things. So number one, Marjorie resigning out of Congress. That was an interesting move. And if you want to comment on that, and then also Comey, of course, the judge dismissed the case against him. See, everybody read the headline that James Comey was finally going to get indicted. And I think it was to the point where people didn't even care for what, because they just want him to go down, right? And then I thought to myself, when I saw that first headline, I kid you not, I was like, yep, it won't last. And then, of course, today it's dismissed. Why is it dismissed? Because they said that the attorney wasn't, let's see, it was, brought an unqualified U.S. attorney. Like they would make that mistake. Which
is interesting. She's actually a Clinton appointee. So this particular prosecutor was a Democrat, at least advanced by that. But also keep in mind, Kate, I read the story too. All this means is that the Trump administration could pick any other qualified prosecutor, the court, it goes right back. And I can't imagine they're not going to drop this. So this delays. It doesn't end anything. All it does is they have to pick somebody else that this particular judge in his own purview or her purview decides that they are actually in a place where they can bring these charges. So it really changes nothing.
Let's hope. I'm gonna hope. I'm gonna be optimistic, Duke. I'm gonna really be optimistic. I'm gonna say, okay, yeah, let's hope. Little Miss Halligan kind of reminded me of that of the show Annie, right? Miss Halligan, she's we'll see. I have a feeling though that this is gonna be like Benghazi. It's gonna be like everything else. It eventually just sort of drops out, and people don't pay attention because they read the first headline, so they all think it's getting taken care of. But I don't know. I'm gonna hope though, for sure.
Well, the other thing is that let's assume that the Trump administration does re-prosecute this and everything's in line. I give it maybe a 10% chance for both of them.
Yeah,
because there's going to be all kinds of judge seeking for this. They're going to try to figure out the best place to make this happen. Where you have, and what we've seen, and the most disheartening thing we've seen, is the degree to which in the last 11 months. The prosecutors, the judges who have been appointed by Democrats, man, they seem to be ignoring the Constitution. You could say that about, I know you will say, everybody ignores the Constitution. I know your callers will call in
and say that,
right?
It's the truth. Yeah.
And it's true. But I mean, I'm kind of staggered when it comes to matters of the same judges under Biden were all over Republicans, putting them in jail, doing all kinds of things, making their lives hell for 2, 3, 4 years. The exact situation now under Trump, and the things that these people are accused of are much worse than the Republicans under Biden. And now it's let him go. We're not going to do this. It would slap on the wrist kind of stuff. I tell you, if it weren't for these very, very activist judges on the Democrat side, and I know they're all over the place, but if it weren't for them, they are systematically gumming up everything that Donald Trump is trying to do. And he's on the border, in almost every aspect of what Trump is trying to do is being stopped in the way that under Biden it wasn't. And that goes back to something I've said to your show many, many times. Yeah, absolutely. It seems to me that when Republicans do unconstitutional things, there are a significant number of conservatives and Republicans who will rebuke them. When the Dems do it, I mean, I'll tell you this. It seems to me that our right-wing friends are much more angry when the Republicans slip than when Democrats slip every day. I mean, I would love to see the outrage against the Democrats for this kind of stuff. There seems to be this attitude that among Republicans, well, that's what they do. So that's what we do. Even the kind of correct cynicism you have, where is this going to go? When you look at the history of this country in the last 20 years, you'd have to think that it's going to be almost impossible to convict Comey on any of this stuff. It's just not going to happen. And Letitia James isn't going to suffer one bit. And here's the problem. Letitia nailed Trump on something nobody gets nailed for. And she won because of where she was in New York. And she had a AG in Manhattan that was behind her 100%. They literally did railroad him. Now, on the other side, those same Democrats are going to wink at her doing the very same thing that she successfully did it against Trump. And they're going to say that what should have been said about Trump, this is a non-crime. Right. So the left is going to have their cake and eat it too. But that doesn't mean Trump should drop both of these cases. They have to go forward.
With the theater going on, I think people get more irate when they see the right do it because we think that that people are on the same page and that you see the leftists do what the leftists do and you expect it because they are so wonky when it comes to defining the country and defining the Constitution and then just making a whole lot of crap up and then trying to instill very communistic ideas. So we expect it on a daily basis, but I think when this happens on the right, and it happens so frequently now, that I don't know how anyone can deny that anymore. I think we're at a point where you have to see the game that's being played because it's so daily obvious to me, I know to many, right? To you, there's things about what's being played out on the stage of the right-left paradigm in politics, in DC, in Congress, in the Senate. Nothing ever moves forward. Nothing ever really gets rebuked, and they always blame the scapegoat, and it's never done, except when the communistic Marxism wants to move forward. That goes forward, but nothing else goes forward. So we can't really actually ever get back to the Constitution with these certain people in, and I'm going to say selected instead of elected.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. That makes perfect sense. And I think there is this difference as well between the left and the right, is that the left, whenever you put lefties in charge, they go full speed away from the Constitution. And it's absolutely true. I mean, we're talking now about the filibuster. You are absolutely crazy if you don't believe that as soon as they have enough power, the Democrats are going to get rid of that. There's absolutely, they've decided, right? They have decided, this goes back to Barack Obama. When Obama won in 2008, the left decided that that's it. We will never be out of power again. We're going to use Biden, and then before him, Obama. The first Trump was a mistake. Hillary wasn't a great candidate. She never went to the swing states. She never went to Wisconsin once. So that was just a slip. And then 2024 rolls around, right? And that's the last straw for the left. So we know that once they have the power, the filibuster is gone. Now, the question is this. And the filibuster, by the way, isn't really a constitutional thing, is it? It's a kind of a gentleman's handshake, right? So the question is this. Do the Republicans go ahead and do it, as Bessent is asking for, and others are saying, hey, you know, they're going to do it. They get a chance. We have the power to do it now. Because what the left's going to do is, you know, this as early as 2028, they're going to pack the Supreme Court. Puerto Rico is going to become a state. DC is going to have its own senators. That's going to happen, and nothing. And the only way we could avoid that, if between now and 228, is if there's a very, very middle of the road Democrat, an old fashioned Democrat, to become president. But where's all the momentum? It's on the side of the socialism. That ain't going to happen. So I guess from a strategic point, I think the Republicans are foolish not to do something, because it's going to be, it's existential now. And this is where the Republicans always fail. The Democrats, certainly over the last 30, 40 years, are playing an existential game. That's why they let in 20 million people. They are playing to get rid of any, they want us to become a uniparty progressive party. The Republicans don't do that. And to me, the last chance they're going to have to be a viable party is if they do get rid of this filibuster, because it is absolutely, I don't think there's a shadow of doubt, no matter who you look at the front runners for the Democrats, they will go even harder left when they get a chance. So do the Republicans hold on to the tradition simply because they don't want to be called the ones who broke it, when everybody can see what the Democrats are going to do when they get power?
Right. You know, after this theater has been going on for so long that I expect them to just almost get worse on both sides. I trying to think that they're pulling the wool over people's eyes, but honestly, it's getting so obvious. Now, what did you think was behind Marjorie Taylor Greene's resignation as of January 5th?
I think there's a couple of things. One is that she's a hypersensitive, forgive me the sexism, a hypersensitive female who wants to be recognized and she wants to be praised. I think there's some of that. But call it what it is. She has an ego. We all do. She has an ego. And I do. That's the part of her that got on people's nerves, right? The endless showboating. That's part of it. The other half of it is she sincerely believes in America first and America alone. And it's hard to argue that Donald Trump is not there. I mean, he may have claimed it. MAGA says "Make America Great Again." He's certainly in my lifetime, be the one president who at least took America first as a talking point. But hard to look at it from her perspective and what we're seeing on a global stage. Donald Trump does not seem to be that guy who's going to put America first every time. And so I think that's part of it as well. And when he came out and criticized her, that's where the vanity kicked in. I don't think she'll be missed ultimately, but I think according to the lying media, this is looking more and more like a landslide for Democrats in 2026. And you know what's going to happen. And now, again, they always lie to us. They always overstate it. They won a few elections in deep blue states like Virginia and New Jersey. But man, they're already pumping out these polls that suggest that the Democrats are going to roll 30, 40 congressmen. They even have a chance potentially to take Senate back. But if they do get the House, at least, it's going to be all the time. It's going to be all the time impeachment again. It's going to be over and over and over again. And think about how much Democrat judges have already gummed up his plans. Now when they control the Congress, it's going to be 2 years of gridlock until he's gone.
Well, it certainly is ramping up the theater. And I think that it's all theater. I think that they have to figure out a way to get us to buy every election as is. So I think that you're going to see certain things happen so that it very much looks like that the leftists, these people are actually going to be of consent of the people of America, which isn't true. They are definitely a minority, but they're going to be made to look like that. Oh, I guess we can see the evolution of 2026. I guess we can kind of see how this is going to happen. And then, of course, 2028. So to me, I feel like these are all like the distraction power plays that they do to us. And in the meantime, they're not doing anything to get rid of anything. So it's disturbing at best because they're getting it's obvious, yet they're still good at it. They're good at getting people to think that everything happens organically. And I don't think it does. I think that these moves now, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I liked a lot of what she said, and like Massey. I do think though that people are used as pawns because you can't get that role as congressperson and be selected by the party to win, because I do not think we have real elections. So based on that premise, then you have to be playing the game in order to go in. So is she the pawn that plays the game for this setup of this election in 2026? Very much could be. So I'm not taking that out of the equation because it very much could be that. Is she honestly speaking out and honestly doing this and honestly feeling like, okay, I'm getting out? I know that the party selects people to be in this position, and it's not because they're rebels. So when I see rebel behavior, to be honest with you, I'm always like, okay, so what kind of play is this? Because when you get up into these upper echelons of government, I don't think people just get in organically anymore. So there's that. I'll put that aside. I don't know.
What do you think about Massey and Green in 2028? That could be a possible thing. I mean, but let me ask you a question, because you kind of skated over.
Okay.
Do you? I certainly understand your premise. All of this on both sides of the aisles, mostly kabuki. But do you think the filibuster should go? And if the Republicans figure out the truth, that it'll come from the left if they don't do it, what would you want to see happen?
Okay.
If they basically were able to get that passed? You would only need one senator over and above the number, right? As opposed to having to get 60 for most of this stuff. I mean, there's all kinds of things you could do. You could, one thing I would hope he would do, honestly, is some of the older conservative justices, as much as I love Clarence Thomas, but some of those guys are getting really up there. And if in 2028 this goes to a Democrat, the presidency and the Senate, then guess what? Suddenly it's going to be 6 to 3, possibly, maybe even worse, with the Democrats controlling the Supreme Court. So something, I don't know about court packing. That seems more like a Democrat thing. I don't imagine the Republicans would ever do that. But replacing the ones that are in their late 70s and early 80s on the conservative side might not be a bad thing, but we'll see.
Let's take a caller. What do you do? Let's take a caller. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. You're on with Dr. Duke Pesta and myself.
Good afternoon to the two of you.
Hey.
Dr. Pesta, you were talking about the differences between Republicans and Democrats. That is not the question for the sake of the American people that we should be asking. You should be asking, what is the similarities? The similarity is whether Republicans or Democrats are in power, Congress or the White House, tyranny expands in this country. In fact, what you were saying is it's just the opposite. When the Republicans Democrats are in power and they're doing some of their tyranny expanding. I've got that wrong. When the Republicans are in the White House and in power in Congress, and they do some tyranny expanding in the White House, the Republicans will not oppose that other than 1, 2, or 3. Like over the Epstein files, there were 3 Republicans, mainly 1 Republican. There's no opposition. This is why they put a Republican, I'm talking about the conspiracy, grand conspiracy. They had a Republican in the White House when they took down the buildings in New York on 9/11 to minimize any opposition. This is why the Patriot Act occurred under Republican presidencies. So it's just the opposite of what you were talking about. And in terms of the judges, I want to share something that I personally know about. I thought, I don't know if you know, Dr. Pesta, I thought the federal government forcing us to get vaccines and take the PCR test. In other words, going into our body and putting stuff there against our will, when there's nothing in the Constitution that gives them that power to do that, and punish us if we don't do it. So the administrative federal judge, my case, he said to me when I was talking to him during one of our sessions that Trump would, first term, he would not nominate any, because he was talking about my appeal, and he said he's not nominated any administrative judges. He said, if I appeal, there's only going to be 2 judges instead of 3 that's required because he's not doing it. So he turned that over to Biden. Biden was able to nominate those judges because Trump refused to. They're playing ball with each other. They're,
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to take another call. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Yeah, Kate.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, good show there. Thanks. With Mr. Pesta.
Thanks.
We're in big trouble, as Limbaugh used to say. And I mean it more than he ever did, I think. But the fact is, what we have with this Venezuelan situation, which according to Hal Turner, could break in the next day or 2. And there could be all kinds of surprises there. We don't know the extent of Russian help. Now, I don't like to use the word involvement as if it's something nefarious. They have every right to be there. Who can bark about Monroe Doctrine after the millions of billions of dollars we've pumped over there to the Ukraine to try to take down Russia by proxy?
I don't know that that's what the money was for, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But the situation, not just with Venezuela, but also, as you know, so far, I'm waiting for Mike Huckabee to be fired. You know what he did, of course, his meeting with Jonathan Pollard.
Okay.
Jonathan, I mean, so it's this one thing after the other.
All right.
But one last thing here to make my point. When you see what bothered me, Donald Trump, who I voted for 3 times, here he is schmoozing with this Mandami guy that's been painted as this or that. Yeah, smooth. The same day that he uses vitriol against Marjorie Taylor Greene, who stood by him when the neocons and rhinos that are standing by Trump right now, only because he's doing their bidding, and they've got him. Guys like Mark Levin and Shapiro and the rest of these Jewish firsters or Israel firsters. This is where we're at right now. It's quite a moment.
Let's address that. Thank you so much for the call. That's what I'm saying. It's just a whole lot of theater because you have to do the setup for 2026. So what are your thoughts?
Well, go back to the first caller.
Sure.
I don't think he wanted to argue that it was exactly the opposite of what I was saying. You picked out 3 Republicans who stood athwart them when 3 was almost enough to kill it. Name 1 Democrat who didn't go along with the Democrats. And so I don't understand this argument that somehow the Republicans are still worse. I'll take those 3. I can't think of any Democrats who didn't go along with the Democrats. And here's another thing I would say to the first caller. There is gamesmanship here, right? It depends on how many votes you need to do anything. It just so happens right now that there's only a 1 or 2 advantage for the Republicans. I bet you any money to the first caller. If the Republicans had a 25 seat advantage, you would have seen more Republicans vote against certain policies. The question is, do we shut down government like the Democrats do, or do we try to get through it? So to the first caller, I don't think you undone what I said, and I don't think it's the opposite of what I said. The Republicans are bad, the Democrats are worse. That's what I said. Look at the 4 years under Biden. Everything they wanted, every Democrat voted for. At least there is some pushback with the Republicans. That's all I said. So it wasn't overturned. I think what I said still stands. The Republicans have slightly more people who are willing to stand up. The Democrats have nobody to. And that's all I said from the beginning. As for the second person who called, which is an interesting point, I get it. But, what is the challenge based on what I said and you said? There was nothing adversarially. Yeah, you're right. I think you're exactly right what he said about that. There's so many things going on in the world right now. And I said it before the caller did, that when you look at what Trump's doing, especially outside of our country, it is not American first. I said that before we put that caller on. So I'm 100% with you. It is Ukraine. It is Venezuela. It's all kinds of other things too. There is the globalist aspect of what Trump is doing is very concerning to me.
All right. I mean, there's just, like I said, all I see is theater. And I see positioning and I see, I see roles being played. I mean, that's me. I'm just looking at all of it going, it's a stage play, but, okay. So let's go here because he mentioned, the weirdo in New York. Okay, Mondami. And then there was this great article by Selwyn Duke talking about forget democratic socialism, says economist, embrace democratic capitalism. I mean, they're really getting into these terms and really going after trying to, couch everything, trying to talk about everything in redistribution terms. And I mean, I can't even imagine at this point falling for any of that, but it's kind of interesting. It's kind of taking up new definitions again. You're noticing this too, I'm sure.
I am. And I would, there is nothing, I think in all the times I voted for Donald Trump, oftentimes, especially in 24, when you had to hold your nose on a little bit to do it, nothing disgusted me more than the Mondami stuff. I mean, I don't understand after, 18 hours before he shows up at the White House, he's Kami Mondami, and it's almost because he came to the White House. It's almost as if Trump was flattered that this hater showed up. And so he was going to undo what he had said before and all this other stuff. And of course, Mondami would not publicly undo what he said. He just waited until he got back to Manhattan to then once again call him a fascist, right? So, I just, that was to me very, very disheartening. It was disheartening. I mean, you would think the one thing a Republican president ought to be able to say is that we will not compromise with socialists and communists.
Yeah. And they're going to
there's your theater right there.
They're going to keep changing the terms over and over and over again, thinking that they're coming up with something new. And now it's give the company over to invest in all of the people but I'm sorry, but owners, when they're talking about all of these different terminologies they're coming out with, it just fascinates me because there has to be something in it to start a company and to to invest and to also take those risks that a lot of people aren't willing to do. And so they're trying to redefine it once again as if you share equally with everyone that works with you and don't act like an owner, then you're a good person. And so they're redefining terms again. You guys got to check out that article. It's very interesting how they keep trying to revamp what makes the country work in different terms.
I'm glad you gave a shout out to Selwyn Duke, the TNA. I have an article coming up in the TNA in the December article. So hope maybe we can talk about that. In the TNA, the New American magazine, I'm writing about not politics, which is so fraught, but I'm doing a 7 articles on the 7 deadly sins and the virtues that go with them, just cultural piece. So maybe we can talk about that as opposed to politics when we get to December. But nice to give a plug for the TNA. It really is it's really an essential magazine in this day and time.
I love it. I was on the cover.
I know you were.
I love that magazine. Yeah, they're doing a good job and they're really trying.
And by the way, you looked great in the bathing suit too.
Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, my big layout, my big spread. Anyway, well, I also wanted to ask you. I didn't know if you had heard about this letter that Candace Owens put out, and she put out a letter talking about to everybody. Talking about 2 days ago, I was contracted by a high-ranking employee of the French government. Remember, she's got that ongoing feud with the French government because she's trying to point out that Macron's wife is a boy, which I'm not opposed to that idea. I think there's some really weird things about Macron's older wife. Anyway, so she said, after determining this person's position and proximity to the French couple, I've deemed information that they gave me to be credible enough to share publicly in the event that something happens. And basically, they've executed upon and paid for my assassination. So that was an interesting one. I know a lot of people have been debating and kind of going back and forth on this. And I know a lot of people in the mainstream, I'm going to say mainstream alt-right, that are going after her rather than just reading this and saying, okay, what is she doing? They're like really going after her, like Dana and Glenn. I mean, it seems like everyone's kind of not on her side, right? But it was an interesting letter to put out. It was like, I ask every person to retweet this and get this out, and that there's another journalist whose life is at risk. It was a crazy letter. Did you have a chance to look at that?
I did not know. Okay. And my question is this to you, because you know more than I do. Did she tell us what her source is, or is she just assuming or saying? Did she share who's behind this?
No.
In other words, is there any evidence that she put forth other than
no?
So
no.
I don't know. So my question is this: why wouldn't you say it? I mean, if there's proof out there that they want to kill her, I'm willing to listen to it. But I mean, at some point, you can't just say somebody told me. I mean, and so to that degree, and that's one of the problems with Candace. I mean, she's a very bright woman, but she is very, very loud on accusations. J'accuse, since we're talking about the French. But, you know, at some point, you got to put your cards on the table. And if you don't ever put your cards on the table, then you've earned the title of conspiracy, right? I mean, there's got to be more of it than I heard from this guy who doesn't want his name removed. It doesn't help.
Right. Yeah, it's strange. People ask me about Candace all the time. And, you know, my rule is that if you have over a million people actively following you, they're either going to set you up to discredit you, or because they have to take you down somehow, or you're dead, or they're using you as a pawn to get info out there. However it's going to work, I'm not quite sure with Candace. And so Candace is kind of a different one. But my rule is that, you know, of course, if you have over 1 million, it's kind of like if you do more than one term in Congress or the Senate, they're paying you to not do much. So I have that same rule with media, that if you have over 1 million, you're either controlled or you're controlled. And so you are in a situation where you're probably pretty controlled, and either that or they have to discredit you quickly and get you off the stage. So we'll have to see on this one. I don't know. It was wild. I mean, when she put this out, there were a lot of people.
Here's my other question, Kate.
Sure.
I mean, they're going to kill her because basically she said that the wife of Macron is a man. Is that it? I mean, the French are goofy. I get it.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, is that alone? I mean, so they're gonna. I mean, that strikes me as hyperbolic.
It wouldn't just be because of that, though. It would be because what else is she going to say if she was a threat? So she's, gone up against Israel. It's kind of like so if she's willing to go that far and go the distance with that story, then there are other stories that she could go after. So really, they're worried about other things, I think, more than they are about the French.
Yeah, but I got to ask this again.
Okay.
I mean, if she's got more substance than his wife has a penis, I mean, that's trivial, right?
Well, I don't know. I think I don't think so. I think it uncovers a lot about Michelle Obama. There's a lot of if you look at the Rothschilds' wives through the centuries, you're going, oh my gosh, they're men. So I think there is a huge element of that I'm not quite sure if they're ready to expose that. And if they are, then they're using her as a pawn. If not, then they find it as a threat. I'm not quite sure, but I'll tell you what, I think there's a lot more of that than, and I know how crazy that sounds. I don't care. I just know that there is probably more of that than we think there is. So, with the elite. So I don't know. There's some weird funkus stuff happening, but we'll see. We'll see on this letter. It was a really strange thing to put out, but I do think there is something there for sure on those stories. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you probably know more than I do on this, but certainly France has turned its back on Israel, certainly more than America has. We're 100% behind that. France is much more cautious. They have to be with so many Muslims who have been brought into that country. I get that. So I guess the question is for Candace, because again, you probably know more about this than I do. What other issues? Well,
she was going after the Charlie Kirk thing pretty hard as far as tearing it apart.
Why would the French?
No. It has nothing to do with the French. What I'm saying is these are multiple stories. So there are multiple things that she's talking about.
So is she? Maybe I missed what you said. Are the French trying to kill her because of what she said about Macron's wife, or is this an American, like the same people who potentially killed Charlie here in America, one are dead, or both? Which one is it?
She's trying to say that this is the French government doing this, so therefore it's about that story.
Right? Is there? And is she also arguing that she has people trying to kill her in America? And because this matters.
So the French, what she's saying is the French also, that her source in the French government also said that Charlie Kirk's assassin trained with the French Legion 13th Brigade with multi-state involvement. Now, that sentence I will tear apart because I do not. Let's put it this way. If the CIA took out Charlie Kirk, then they can use anyone they want. But this was a really strange, very detailed comment that I didn't buy. I actually don't buy that it was the French Legion 13th Brigade with multi-state involvement. I think that sentence is goofy. And I think that charge is goofy. And I think it's something that says, look over here, and not at our own. You know, we've had a lot of little assassinations happen that aren't so little. We just celebrated the anniversary of JFK taken out by our own government, and I think our own CIA. So it's not a question to me that that's probably what happened, because I know that it wasn't that kid that's from my city. I know that it wasn't him. So it has to be that. But because they're very good at trying to make everybody look here, look there, and look 5,000 places, but don't look at the real truth. But that sentence, so when she said that, I'm very much questioning that. I don't think Charlie Kirk's assassin trained with the exact French Legion 13th Brigade. I think that that's way too detailed of a lie. But I don't know that she's lying. She might be passing along information, but there's something wonky about that because I don't buy that.
Well, that makes sense.
I think it's misdirection.
Right. And that's the problem I'm having here. What we know and what she said leaves so many holes. And I mean, I respect her if she doesn't want to give her sources. Okay, fine. But based what's been put in front of us, I just don't think there's enough there to do other than scratch your head. I mean, if it were me and I was in the crosshairs, I would not have reported this unless I could back it up. I wouldn't go to press with that. I wouldn't.
Right.
I mean, this idea that I've got this information, but I can't share it with you. Well, I mean, at that point, I mean, like you said, all of it becomes diversionary, right? I mean, at this point, because there's. Tell me what's the kernel of truth that I'm missing that you're trying to say?
I think it's difficult to kind of figure out if she's being used, how, and then anyone with a large, like she has the biggest podcast audience now, they're saying, in the world for her show. She hit the hugest numbers, and so there's part of me that really questions, of course, how they're utilizing her, because alt media is very tricky, and what on our alt right, which I've been a part of. So I'm telling you that they get it's sleight of hand. It's very tricky. It's getting people to buy into all these people that have been part of the three-ring circus of the intelligence agencies, and then all of a sudden they're supposed to break free, and now they're not part of it, and now they're separate from it, and now they're trying to bring truth. And so I'm so skeptical, and it's not from being a negative person. I'm just very skeptical because I'm in the media. And so when I'm looking at all these stories, I'm always questioning the spokesperson of all the stories, because it doesn't even matter if that's Candace and of course Tucker and of course Glenn and Dana and all of these people, right? So to me, I'm looking at it going, okay, are people, are they being used as pawns because people don't understand this? They can't register this because we've grown to love our hosts, the people that we think are always telling us the truth. But you know what? They're not always telling us the truth. And I think that people are very used. Now, so it's kind of like Glenn. I'll bring this up because Glenn, I don't mean to pick on Glenn, but Glenn posed this question that I thought was kind of weird. So he poses this question on The Blaze, and he says, basically, why is New York City allowing open threats against Jews? Okay. So if you were truly on the Constitution side of things and you were a rebel truth teller, that is not the question you'd be asking, because you wouldn't want New York City to have the option to allow or not allow threats against Jews if you live in America, which you should be able to say. And this doesn't mean people are doing anything. It means that people are saying things. He's not even questioning that. He's actually saying, why is New York City allowing this? And I'm going, allowing? What are you talking about? Allowing. So the change in wording, the change in like the things that are put out there and said, I'm just not seeing a whole lot of truth telling. So that's why I'm always suspicious of pretty much everyone in alt-right, just like I'm not suspicious of the left. I know the left is a bunch of, little zombies. So I'm not even talking about the left. Move the left over because that's mainstream media. But I'm talking about the right. The people have a hard time understanding the right side of the media.
Sure, and this goes back to the question that I posed early in the conversation, right? Is that we spend a lot of fire, and we should, on the right, absolutely. But it's almost like because we expect the left to be crazy. We are not nearly as hard on them.
Look at Rachel Maddow. I mean,
exactly.
Mad Cow. I mean, there's just a million reasons to go, really. So that part, you just take that and you just go, okay, they're always lying. But on the right, it's much harder. That's why I'm saying it's getting trickier. It's getting harder for people to recognize.
You brought up Tucker, and many conservatives believe that he's gone rogue, right? So, but you actually lumped him in with Candace. Would you say that Tucker Carlson is also compromised? Would you say?
I don't think he's gone totally rogue. No, I don't think so. Because my gut tells me that anytime you have an audience that big, they're going to either control you or control you. So I think that I think he would be more compromised than he would be the major truth teller. Like I think that he'll skim the surface and make people feel good about what he's saying, but the cards will always be held close to the chest because that's how media works. So if they prop people up in media on the right, and then of course they completely prop them up on the left because they're so good at it. But it gets harder on the right to recognize it. Much harder.
So, this is the question, right? Who do you trust on the right? Is there anybody? I mean, I know there's a very, very narrow window for you.
I know. And I hate that because it makes me seem paranoid. I'm not paranoid at all. I just have been in the media game, so I understand how media works.
I'll say what maybe you can't. You worked with Glenn for a lot of years, and you saw a lot of things that were, let's just say, questionable. Fair to say?
I would say not during that time as much, but maybe after. Gotcha. It wasn't during that time, but there was a little bit during that time. Yes, I have a lot of questions for sure. Yeah, and
So I guess another question is that obviously in mainstream conservatism, you have the Taylor Greens, you've got the Tuckers, you've got the Candaces, and then you have the establishment. You have the Ben Shapiros and the Glenn Becks and stuff. So in your mind, is there any real difference between those?
So
are they made up categories?
No,
or are they?
Here's the reality. The reality is that most of them will say 90 to 95% truth. And then you have to try to figure out what's not being said, number one. And number two, because there's a lot not being said. And then like what they focus on, like the questions they're putting out, like things like that. Okay. And then so the reframing of a story. So there's always going to be your 5 to 10% disinformation. So that's how it works. So that's why it's tricky. That's why people have a tough time, because it's 90 to 95% putting truth out there. And you're going to go, yeah, that resonates. Yeah, I think that person's telling the truth. When you hear a leftist, you can hear 5% truth and the rest is like the worst, most shallowest lie. So
can I do something with you? Can I just I'm going to throw a name at you, and I want you to just as an exercise, give me a basic percentage of truth comes from them. All right.
I don't know. That's hard.
I'll throw them quick, and we'll just. All right. Start with Mad Cow. How much truth do you get?
I mean, it's 100%. Like whatever the script says, she'll say it. Yeah, yeah. That's just how it goes.
What about Ben Shapiro?
I think Ben is an interesting character in all of this. I think he's part of the machine, and he's there to promote Israel. That's his number one. That's what he's supposed to do.
What about Nick Fuentes?
He's an interesting character too. I think that there's a lot of disinformation there too. So anyone that you're going to ask me about, unless they are full on like Anderson Cooper, CIA, CNN, I think that you're probably going to run into me saying probably you're going on the right. If it's on the right, it's the 90 to 95% quotient. So quota. So that's basically why things resonate, but you're still kind of wondering. It's weird because in the reframing of questions, or I won't talk about 9/11. There's hosts that will not talk about 9/11, or they will not talk about certain things like the moon landing. They won't even have a conversation. We've always had conversations on the show. There's nothing off topic for us. So everything has been discussed on this show that I can think of. But
I never asked you this.
Yeah.
Do you think we landed on the moon?
I do not. There's 100% no.
Okay.
100% no. We did not have the technology at all. And there's a lot of reasons why I say that. I've done so much research into that.
Was there a time in which somebody did, or is it all not?
No. We
so
did
no
not.
one's been.
We did not. Yeah. And that's why when Vietnam ended and the moon landings, they say, ended a month later and we never went back. That's why it was used as a prop for country sentiment for getting us through the Vietnam War. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of research. I've done so many shows on that. And so when somebody hears me say that sort of out of hat, they're going to go, she's crazy. No, actually, I really, really 100%. There's not even a 1% doubt. We did not go to the moon.
And I would have, and so of all these major cover-ups, I would imagine that you already mentioned the JFK execution, 9/11, the moon. What would you say in the last 50, 60 years? What would you say is the biggest, most significant lie that most Americans believe?
It would have to be such a weird tie because 9/11, the moon landing, COVID, biggest lie. All three of those, of course, JFK, but all three of those, such ginormous lies that people think that there's no way they could carry that out. And there is every way they could carry that out because not everyone is in the know. They only know their part. So it makes it easy to do when you've got a lot of people thinking, well, I saw what I saw. Well, did you? And I know what I know. Well, do you? So there's a lot of that happens. And so people's go-to on any of those is, well, they could never keep a lie that big. And my answer to that is, you don't have to, because not too many people know all the elements when they're going through something like that. So you'll have a lot of people still to this day say, well, you'll have the guy that says, I was in the control room for the moon landing. Well, how do you know you saw what you saw? How do you know you weren't being fed the drill on TV as Buzz clearly pointed out to Conan O'Brien that you weren't watching us live. You were not. And Conan O'Brien's face dropped. He was like, yes, I did. I was like 4 years old and I saw it. And he's like, no, you didn't. You did not see that. What you saw was something else. And he said this on his show. So I do. And that's why they came out with that movie that they did about the moon landing and having this separate filming event, because too many people are figuring it out. So they had to come up with another, like, see, we're showing you that we did maybe film something that we showed on TV at 9:00 and we just happened to get it in prime time on a Sunday night, even though the chances of us going to the moon were 1 in a billion, but we got there and we're able to give you the feed from the moon. There's just a lot of things we believe that we don't question. And then the people, as they are part of things, don't question. So there's a lot there to unpack, probably for today's show, probably not room to go into because I have done this on many shows, because I wanted to explain to people why I thought that, because that's the important part, right? Why do you believe that we didn't go? And every single part of my research was screaming, yeah, we did not do that. So it was a show, and it's been confirmed by many people. So yeah.
No, this is good. I've never had this kind of a conversation with you. But we got 7 minutes left. I'd like your thoughts on Thanksgiving.
Okay. Actually, you know what? This is really your forte, and I really want to hear from you. What is the number one thing that we get wrong about Thanksgiving?
Oh gosh. I would frame it differently.
Okay.
I think the thanks has gone out of Thanksgiving. I mean, it's an idea, George Washington, a godly man, the idea that I really do believe that gratitude, whether it's to God or your country or your family or your church or your party, I think that gratitude is the last thing that goes before anarchy takes over.
Okay.
I think that, and if you ever get a chance, maybe you've already done it, I would recommend this to your audience. The greatest written piece of art that talks about gratitude in Western, outside of the Bible, is Shakespeare's King Lear. It's one of the most just chilling arguments about when gratitude goes away, anarchy follows. And I would suggest that gratitude, as I watch these kids in high school and in college when I teach at the university, gratitude is for any aspect of America, our tradition is gone. And you're seeing the more violence in the street. You're seeing Antifa, your Black Lives Matter. You're seeing that this, the death of Charlie, I mean, the response of the left for that. You can see that that gratitude in this country is fraying.
Yeah.
And I absolutely historically think it's true, demonstrably true, that when gratitude goes away, anarchy follows. And you're starting to see that. And I think for most people, Thanksgiving is a day off. It's a lot of football and turkey. I think gratitude, think about this. The God you and I believe in, the Christian God.
Yes.
The only proper way to worship Christ is in gratitude.
Humility and gratitude.
Yep, there's nothing you can do. And so I think that it's a very important holiday, but that's true of all of them. Christmas isn't what there's very little celebration of the birth of Christ on Christmas. Easter now is becoming a quasi-pagan, let's go out and have eggs and tulips. And so almost all of our meaningful holidays have been undercut, but Thanksgiving is the only one, right, that is topically about being grateful. And if we could get back to a place where at least one day we took gratitude for God, for nation, for country, all that, for liberty, for all of that, it would be a useful thing. But certainly my kids, the kids I see in my university, they are articulate in pointing out that they are not grateful, they are entitled. It goes back to what Kennedy said. They ask their country what they will do, not what they can do. It's exactly where we are today.
And Christopher Columbus, will you set that record straight again?
Oh my goodness. It's one of the great lies of history. He's hey, that's one thing that Trump did very, very correctly. We're back to Columbus. No more of this.
Yes.
None of this Native American stuff.
That was good.
Yeah, that was a good thing. And he what did he say? We like the Italians.
Yeah.
Right. But so in other words, his defense of Columbus was basically, we like the Italians.
That's
he didn't go into this the great historical lie. Columbus himself was very, very cautious and careful among the Indians. He did take a couple of Indians back to show to Ferdinand and Isabella, but they weren't necessarily slaves. And it would be he's an Italian, it would be the conquistadors of Spain in the wake of Columbus, who did most of that tragic stuff. He didn't. And so the idea of Columbus should be absolutely celebrated. I don't understand it. Big cities like Columbia, South Carolina, the capital, or Columbus, Ohio. It's interesting. The left, who effectively got rid of Columbus Day, I've never heard them once call to take those names away. All right, it's interesting. They wanted the holiday gone, but why not go after the cities? The good news is that Donald Trump he really did push it back the other way, and we should celebrate Columbus. I mean, sooner or later, the East and the West were going to meet. It was going to happen, and I'll tell you what. In 999 times out of 1,000, that collision would have been much more brutal than having Columbus be the man who did it.
You know, when I see Columbus and I see how the intelligence agencies utilize that word, not only in movies, not only in pictures, in the university itself, which is a CIA hangout, and it's funny. It's not funny, sad how they utilize the word Columbia as well as a. I don't know. It's kind of code. Like I see a lot of code happening there where it's been sort of taken over when I see that word. But
well, it's interesting, isn't it? That South America is pretty socialism welcoming, right? You see a lot of socialism is much more wrapped up in South America than it is North America, and you've got a country a narco country, but a country named Colombia, right? I mean, you would think with the leftists over the years they've had there, they haven't changed the name either, which is very interesting. You wonder why.
Well, look at Columbia Records. Thanks,
right.
LB. Columbia Records and pictures, movies, you name it, the university. Oh my gosh, there's so many Columbias.
And that's another one you hit on. Is there any institution more left than the University of Columbia in New York? Right?
It's so leftist.
And yet, and with all those Kahifa wearing Palestinians, no one says we got to change the name. That's interesting too. Unless they're too ignorant to realize that Columbia is a form of Columbus.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, it's funny when I hear leftists go, he was a murdering thug. He came in and the Indians were just walking around like totally simple and they were sweet and nice. And I'm like, Indians killed Indians for land in America for centuries. I mean, my gosh, you know, how do you think they acquired? Everybody acquires land from somebody, but we're the only bad guys, I guess, in the world.
We're told to believe that colonialism is always evil.
Yeah.
Well, then what do you do about the Inca, the Maya, and the Aztec? I mean, these were...
they were ruthless.
They were ruthless colonial ideologies, and most of them, much of what they did was built on the back of slaves. And so that's a big deal. We pretend now, don't we? That those were innocent native tribes all getting along, when meanwhile the Aztecs were ripping hearts out of people thousands at a time. And offering them to their bloody gods.
Yes.
So the whole thing.
Well, and we seem to be the only country that once we conquer, we actually do set lands apart and do things for Native Americans. So I don't see any other countries that are doing that. It's pretty amazing.
We built back Germany and Japan after they attacked us, right? The Japanese pulled off Pearl Harbor, and the Germans waged war, declared.
We knew about it.
We could easily have made them the 51st and 2nd states. We could have done that. So yes, I think that if you look at the last 1,000 years of world culture, and if what you take away from that last 1,000 years of of world history is that America's the problem, you just don't understand history.
Yeah. Oh boy. I hear leftists speak and I just want to I don't even know where to start. Do you ever get that look on your face, like those little dogs that go, like I honestly don't know where to start. So Thanksgiving is always a time when people have a rough time talking about anything substantial other than the weather, with family and friends, I'm sure. And my heart's with you this Thanksgiving, because I know it's tough. It's a tough, it's hard to navigate because it's become so volatile, but that's part of the game. They really wanted it to become volatile.
I think that's the problem. Is that if we were more grateful, we could tolerate each other's politics. If we had a core of ideas about America and about freedom and liberty and personal ability to do what you want, opportunity, I think if we were more grateful for what we have, I think that we would be much more tolerant of each other's politics. But and you see that's one of the reasons why you got all these people who are cutting off their family. Certainly the Republicans do it, but three times as many Democrats in a recent poll said they would cut off ties with family if they voted for Trump. I think it's about 11% of Republicans will do that, but right over 50% of Democrats will cut you off because they don't like you voted for. So 11 is too much on the Republican side, but that's 3-4 times what the Democrats are doing.
I'm fortunate that hasn't happened in my family, but I know a lot of families where it has happened. And I will say this, the main problem with the politics and coming into different extremes is that people aren't genuinely curious anymore. So everyone's kind of decided, right, that they know what they know, and so it's right. And of course, that's it. And so that's why you have the headbutting and the non-tolerance, and I hate that word because the leftists use it so much, but for each other's ideas. Because if somebody says something, we don't go, well, even if it's wrong, and I will know it's wrong because they learned it either at a leftist college or whatever. My question should then be, it shouldn't be you're wrong. It should be, how did you get that information and from where? And why do you believe that? Instead of, you're wrong. Do you know what I mean? So if we came at it with more curiosity, when somebody has to define their beliefs, it's amazing how much you'll find out how much they know. And I'm saying this horribly crude, I'm sorry, but it goes back to, you're going to find out real fast that they don't know a lot and that they have just decided that what they've been told is true. And when they start to question is when you can actually get somebody to actually change and absorb new information. But don't you think it's like curiosity has just left the building? We don't have curiosity anymore. No one asks that question anymore. How do you know that?
I think it's part of gratitude. And I think that we don't have any common spaces anymore.
Right.
I mean, everything is a blood feud. Everything that you believe that I don't is rage inducing. Things like Thanksgiving should be a place where we can step into a neutral zone and to look at each other from a perspective that, look, we have more in common than we have against each other. But again, without things like you mentioned, humility, without gratitude, that's just not going to happen. And the curiosity you're talking about actually is first a religious problem, or I would call a soul problem, before it's a political problem. These are broken spiritual mistakes that we're making, and because the spirituality has been so compromised by the politics, you see the politics becoming a blood feud. It's unbelievable.
Right. And if everyone's going to talk about the weather, I dare all of you to bring up chemtrails. There's one direction you can go in. No, I'm kidding. I just feel like we are driven to be this divisive because of I know what I know. How dare you not know this too? And how dare you even question? And if you question, I don't know what to say to you. So I'm just going to call you a conspiracy theorist because it's easy. I wish people would ask me, why do you think that? Just like you did with the moon landings. Why do you think that though? I want to know why, So important.
I will tell you this, let's try to end on a lighter topic.
Okay.
I don't like any aspect of Thanksgiving food.
What? How do you not like it?
First of all,
kidding?
the slides, I don't care for gravy.
Are you crazy?
To me, turkey is bland.
What?
I don't like cranberry sauce. I hate pumpkin pie. I mean,
dude, are you serious?
There is no aspect of Thanksgiving food that I like.
You're kidding.
I mean, my wife loves it. So it's just me and her. She bought a 25-pound turkey.
Oh my gosh.
Now about 15 pounds of that's going to go to the dogs.
Oh my gosh.
So to not be a complete jerk, I eat one thin little piece of turkey, and then maybe a little bit of broccoli. That's
oh my
it.
gosh.
I can't wait till it's over.
You're cracking me up. You sound like my husband. My husband's on the same page as you, by the way. He wants prime rib like that.
Exactly. Give me a steak. Turkey. When I was a kid, God bless my grandmother, my Italian grandmother. At Thanksgiving, we always had turkey and lasagna. Guess who ate all the lasagna?
Oh, you're kidding me. Okay, I did not know about you.
And Christmas, it was always ham and lasagna. I like ham. I'll eat that. That's good. But I just... And then leftover turkey, the smell of it.
Yeah.
I mean, stuffing is like chewing on lint in your pocket. I mean, I'm going to piss people off with this. I don't even, the one way I don't like potatoes is mashed. Just don't like it. Nope, don't like it. Green bean casserole, you can have it.
You're crazy.
I can't. I want none of it.
You're
none
crazy.
of it. So your husband's a denier like me.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes.
So does he eat any of that stuff?
He likes pie, and so I make a really mean coconut cream pie. It's my grandma's recipe.
That's not Thanksgiving. I got to fight with. I got to fight with somebody else who was saying. He called me a communist because I don't like that food. And then he says, don't you like apple pie? And I said, apple pie is a all year around pie. Okay. Pumpkin pie is Thanksgiving pie. You can't slip in coconut cream cake or apple pie. You're stealing it. And that tells you how bad Thanksgiving food is.
Right.
You got pumpkin hot pie, which tastes nasty. So you got to slip in non-Thanksgiving food. Yeah. And that does not count in my mind.
Oh my gosh. All these years, I've never known this about you. My husband would just be cheering right now, but I love it all. And I could eat it. I actually order a Thanksgiving dinner at restaurants because I love it so much. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to take a few minutes, but thank you. I really appreciate you. You can
have
jam.
a great holiday.
Thank you. You too. All right. So I will be back tomorrow, and I just wanted to say a few things. Number one, because I love to cook, make sure the turkey is around like 13 pounds, because if you do it longer than 2.5 hours, it gets really dry. So I know everybody buys the big bird thinking I've got a lot more turkey, but do 2 13-pounders. Okay. So it'll come out much better. I promise. It should already be in the fridge right now, defrosting if it was frozen. And of course, garlicky, like awesome, like lemon butter on it is really, really good. Also, oh my gosh, I love everything about Thanksgiving food. I do. It's one of my favorite meals, comfort meals ever. So mashed potatoes, you can put a brick of cream cheese in there. And then of course, add warm evaporated milk or warm milk because you don't want cold milk to shock it. And then also a stick of butter for sure. But it makes really good mashed potatoes. And of course, there's just so many hints I could give you. I don't want to bore you, but man, I'm telling you, you got it. That cracks me up about Duke. I did not know that about Duke. I'm a big fan of Thanksgiving. So, and the leftovers too. I always make way more because I want the leftovers, but I also love rolls. So I make a really good roll, and I'm telling you, it's so worth it. I just wanted to say number one with allfamilypharmacy.com, this is their big sale right now. Go check it out. Go there because it's allfamilypharmacy.com/Kate. allfamilypharmacy.com/Kate. Go there because it's they do this once a year, this huge sale. This is their biggest one of the year. This is the time to stock up. I do feel like things are coming where it's going to get harder and harder to get those kinds of things for parasites and whatever else you need there as well. There's lots of different things you can order and just have on hand or have for bartering, which I'm totally on board with. Okay. Bartering is a big deal. You might want some antibiotics to barter with, even if you don't take them yourself and you go totally natural. Good for you. That's awesome. But I'm telling you, you're going to want these things, and you can order it by the pill. And I would if I were you, because you can do it. It'll be delivered to your door. And I think that's amazing. Also, there's so many wonderful stories. You can follow William Makis, Dr. Makis online, and you can find out all kinds of stories of people using ivermectin and how it's helping even stage 4 cancer. Also, go get my cancer ebook at katetalks.myshopify.com. Go get that book for somebody or yourself, please. It gets sent right to your email, and it's so worth it. All right. And then also, I just wanted to tell you, Cardio Miracle, the reason I'm here today, okay, I'm not kidding about this. The reason I'm sitting here, because every fall I get really ill, like at least once. Okay. And it usually takes me out of commission for like a week to 2 weeks. That is not the case for me. and it is helping my health so much. Now, you guys all know, with the passing of my mother and everything else, there was just a lot of stress, and I think I was pretty depleted. So I started taking it 3 times a day, and I'm sitting here today. So I am telling you, that stuff is amazing. And your letters into the show have been amazing when you're talking about it and you're going, oh my gosh, I'm shocked. And I actually laugh out loud when I hear I'm shocked, because I think it's funny that you're so shocked. But I was shocked too, because I honestly, to be honest with you, I didn't think it was going to work. I hate saying that, but I actually didn't. And so when I started taking it twice a day, that was the game changer. And it made all the difference in the world. And I'm telling you, it is like the mineral delivery system for your body. I don't know how else best to describe it. Take the word cardio out, because you need to know that it's delivering minerals to your cells. And that's what you need to fight. Okay. And also go to cardiomiracle.com/Kate. It's a money back guarantee. So what do you have to lose? I mean, try it, see if it helps you. And then also, I'm going to say this one more time, because I think people really need to hear this. If you have a loved one going to the hospital, remember that remdesivir goes by Veklury. Okay, Veklury. I'm thinking Veklury. Anyway, Veklury, that is the name it goes by now. So that goes by a totally different name. So if I were you, I would also check and see. I would check your loved one's IVs and make sure they're not sticking it in there and then claim it's a mistake. They've done that. They've done that to people I know. Okay, I'm telling you, they're capable of it, because they think they know best and they think it's a wonder drug, and it's not. So make sure that you know that it's Veklury, okay? And keep an eye on them, okay? Thanks, you guys. I'm going to be back tomorrow with Susan and Melissa, and they've got some really great stuff, by the way. So you're going to want to tune in for that for sure. All right. Be faithful, be fearless, and I so appreciate you guys. Thank you. Your support means everything. You can support the show by going to katedalleyradio.com. Your support is everything. As you can imagine, I've been silent so many times, I don't know what else to do. So get the show out there and share it on social media. I thank you for that. Thanks, you guys.